Have you ever been totally underestimated by literally everyone around you? Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the ultimate revenge fantasy and breaking down a total masterclass in the overpowered protagonist genre. Picture this. You're known as the absolute weakest student in your whole entire school. You're sickly, you've been kicked out of your super wealthy family, and to top it all off, your girlfriend just dumped you. But then, out of nowhere, right on the school track, you pull off some superhuman moves that completely shatter everything people thought they knew about you. Okay, let's get into it and see exactly how a high school outcast turns into an absolute unstoppable force. The sheer scale of the shock that day is honestly hard to wrap your head around. So Yamo steps up for this totally routine physical test. Everyone is laughing at him, right? Especially the school's hotshot star athlete. But you guys, the second that timer starts, boom! He doesn't just run. The kid practically teleports 1,000 meters in 3 seconds. That is literally impossible. The whole crowd, the teachers, the bullies, they're all just standing there, jaws on the floor, completely and utterly speechless. He just casually broke the laws of physics. So how in the world did he pull that off? Well, the secret lies in the wild difference between the original Yama and the current Yama. You see, the original boy actually fainted and passed away right before that race. And at that exact split-second moment, the soul of a legendary warrior from the Loyu continent, a guy who was betrayed and killed by his own allies right after defeating a demon king, reincarnates straight into this teenager's body. So on the outside, yeah, he looks like a frail kid with blocked meridians, the body's internal energy pathways. But on the inside, it's an 11th stage immortal warrior who is absolutely hungry for revenge. He clears those blocked pathways instantly just by absorbing the energy around him, and boom, just like that, our Zero becomes a terrifyingly overpowered hero. Section 1. The Business of Cultivation. But, of course, there is a huge catch. Yamu only possesses first-stage cultivation right now, and he's stuck in a world that basically has zero spiritual energy. And if you're familiar with this, cultivation is essentially how you level up your martial and magical power. So how does an OP hero get his godlike strength back when the environment itself is literally working against him? Well, Yamu is incredibly organized. He maps out this highly calculated 4-step zero-to-hero progression plan. Step 1. Make money. Why? Because of Step 2. He needs to buy ridiculously expensive medicinal herbs like silverheart grass so he can refine pills. Then, Step 3. Use those pills to cultivate and level up his stages. And finally, the best part, Step 4. Get revenge on everyone who betrayed him in his past life, plus the bullies in this one. It's a super clear step-by-step journey, but he's starting with literally empty pockets. So, how exactly does he pull off Step 1? He leverages his past life knowledge to craft something called spirit talismans. Basically, these are special papers injected with spiritual energy that produce miraculous effects. He decides to test a healing talisman to revive a dying dog on the street, and he does this right in front of a wealthy heiress named Su Jingwen. Now, after seeing this absolute miracle, she desperately asks if it can cure her mother, who has been stuck in a vegetative state for years. Yamo sells her a specialized spirit talisman for 50 grand, and it completely revives her mom, which absolutely stuns all the top medical experts. So just like that, Yamo secures his initial funding and, maybe more importantly, his first powerful ally.
Section 2. Framed and imprisoned.
Now you know how it goes. Flashy cash and sudden confidence always bring some deadly attention from the shadows. Yamo's little display of power catches the eye of this incredibly corrupt inspector named Wang Lei, who ends up framing Yamo and tossing him into a prison cell. But listen to this. It's not just any cell. It is a trap. Waiting inside is an assassin named Zhou Quan, which drops a massive plot twist on us. Yamo isn't the only one with powers in this world, but there's a huge difference in how they get their juice. Zhou gets his superhuman strength from this diluted divine water, which is a really volatile mixed energy that actually damages ordinary humans over time. Yamo, on the other hand, is rolling with pure spiritual energy and 100% absorption. So as Yamo effortlessly dodges Zhou's attacks and just completely beats him down, he proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that he absolutely outclasses him. After totally crushing the assassin, Yamo asks the million-dollar question: who is pulling the strings? Zhou Quan ends up confessing that he was hired by a vicious underground boss named Zhang Wenxiao to take Yamo out. And the reason why? To pay off his kids' astronomical medical bills. Yamo, actually showing a surprising sliver of mercy here, heals Zhou's injuries and promises to cure his child, but only in exchange for absolute loyalty. Zhou then hands over the rest of his divine water, which Yamo realizes is actually concentrated spirit liquid. But guys, the conspiracy goes way, way deeper than just some random underground boss. Section 3. Rescuing the Heiress. This is where things escalate to a totally cinematic level. That underground boss, Zheng Wenchao, figures out his assassin failed miserably. So, to draw Yama out into the open, Zheng Wenchao targets Yamo's new ally, the heiress Su Jingwen. He kidnaps her and drags her to a heavily armed villa. But Zheng Wenchao made a massive, fatal miscalculation. Remember that spirit liquid Yamo just got from the assassin? Well, Yamo used it to refine a qi gathering pill, instantly leveling up his magical and martial power to the second stage of cultivation. And this power-up unlocks a move called the Cloud Shadow Step. When Yamo storms that villa to rescue Su Jingwen, the guy is quite literally dodging a storm of bullets. He's moving like a phantom, effortlessly crushing these armed guards and saving the heiress. And right before Yamo delivers a pretty brutal end to Zheng Wenchao, the terrified boss blurts out the name of the true mastermind.
Section 4. The Song Family Conspiracy.
Enter the real villain of this arc, the Song family, or more specifically, the young master of the family, Song Shaowen. This is where the story's tangled web truly starts to unravel. The crazy part is why Song Shaowen is doing all this. It honestly boils down to pure, toxic obsession. Shaowen sent the thugs, framed Yamo for prison, ordered the kidnapping, and sent the assassins. And why? All because the original Yamo used to be engaged to Ning Xingshui, a woman Shaowen obsessively desires. Even though that engagement was canceled a long time ago, Shaowen wanted Yamo dead just to completely erase the stain of his existence. Talk about holding a grudge, right? But we have to give him credit. Shaowen is dangerously cunning. He actually uses a body double to take all the public heat. Meanwhile, the real Shaowen possesses this incredibly rare spiritual artifact ring that allows him to change his facial features entirely. He uses it to disguise himself as Yamo so he can violently kidnap Ning Qingshui's aunt, totally attempting to frame our hero and make Ning Qingshui hate Yamo forever. I mean, it is a brilliantly devious trap. But come on, you do not try to outplot a reincarnated immortal warrior. Here is exactly how Yamo completely turns the tables. He tracks down that body double and records a full, damning confession right on his phone. Then, he secretly rescues the kidnapped aunt before Shaowen even realizes she's missing. Next, he brings Ning Qingshui directly to Shaowen's hideout so she can hear the villain gloat and confess to the whole thing out loud. When Shaowen finally realizes he's trapped, he panics and unleashes his magical shadow monks, but Yamo just reveals his true cultivator strength and literally shatters them in an instant. Shaowen is left totally humiliated, and his master plot is completely destroyed. Section 5, Journey to Liuosha. Okay, so with the Song family temporarily outplayed, Yamo realizes his power progression is hitting a wall. The spiritual energy in the city is just way too weak for him to advance. So he decides he has to travel to this incredibly dangerous, lawless border region called Liuosha to find a legendary spirit spring to continue leveling up. He hitches a ride with a local smuggler's convoy across the dense, dangerous jungle, but before they can even get the wheels rolling, the convoy gets blocked by these corrupt casino thugs. They claim the smuggler owes them a debt that has somehow ballooned to a massive $6.5 million due to insanely rigged interest rates. If they don't pay up immediately, the convoy is seized and Yamo's entire journey is completely dead in the water. The only way out of this mess is a high-stakes gambling match against the casino's so-called expert. They agree to play a game of guessing dice. To clear this massive debt, they have to predict the exact outcome of 3 dice. The odds? 1 in 36. Those are basically impossible odds of rolling a triple in this specific game. Now, the casino's expert, this guy named William, isn't just relying on luck. William is actually a low-level cultivator himself, and he's using a telekinetic spiritual cufflink to secretly rig the dice under the cup. He confidently rolls, fully ensuring the house wins. But then Yamo casually steps up to the table, he bets 1.2 million of his own cash, and calls out a totally impossible result, an odd-numbered triple. William immediately tries to use his cufflink to change the dice, but Yamo just unleashes his true cultivator speed, completely overpowering William's telekinesis and actually shattering the cufflink. The dice land exactly on 3 ones. Yamo exposes the cheating right there, completely terrifies the casino thugs into avoiding the debt, and saves the convoy. It is just pure, overpowered dominance. So finally, the convoy heads deep into the dense, unforgiving jungles of Liuosha. But the danger is far from over, guys. The tension here is so cinematic. Check out this timeline. 6 hours into the journey, their initial transport gets completely hijacked. By hour 10, they barely manage to secure the new convoy. But then 12 hours in, deep in the absolute middle of nowhere, this massive giant tree suddenly crashes down, blocking the path completely. It's not an accident. It's a highly coordinated ambush. The notorious, heavily armed flower gang swarms the vehicles out of nowhere, violently dragging terrified passengers out at gunpoint. And that, my friends, brings us to a massive, pulse-pounding cliffhanger. Our overpowered hero is trapped in the middle of the jungle, completely surrounded by heavily armed thugs who would gladly kill without blinking. He has to somehow protect the convoy and the passengers while simultaneously keeping his own crazy powers a total secret so he doesn't draw the attention of even stronger cultivators lurking in Leosha. So, surrounded by armed thugs with absolutely nowhere to run, how on earth will Yamo outsmart and crush this deadly new threat? What do you think his next move is going to be? This story just does an absolutely incredible job of constantly raising the stakes. Well, that is all the time we have for today's explainer, but I highly, highly recommend diving into this source material yourself to see the epic fallout of this ambush. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and keep that curiosity focused.